Welcome to today's stream. It's 6 minutes past 10 in the evening in London, where I'm broadcasting from. I'd like to welcome you to today's stream. What we're doing, well, what I'm doing as part of a series is I'm reading the first 5 books of the Bible. We're currently in Genesis and chapter 20. And as you know, it's the foundation of the Bible. We're going right back to the beginning because, as I said in the previous stream, the foundation helps us to understand the future. Excuse me, I just had to take a cough there. So the foundation helps us understand the future. And I think it's really good for us to have a solid foundation in the Word of God to understand the creation and to understand what happened immediately after the creation and what kind of makes us understand why we're here in the situation that we are in. So, currently in chapter 20, I've been doing on average recently a stream a week on average. And I want to kind of build that into 2 streams a week. So I'm going to follow this stream with another one tomorrow. So I hope you can tune into that too. Please remember to, whatever part of the recording you like or even don't like, please subscribe and also tick that like button. That will really help things move on a bit with the kind of community that I would like to build, where we talk about the Word of God. And I want to do my best to interpret it, to give a true interpretation of the Bible, and it's an interpretation that we can all understand. Okay, so I'm going to proceed with today's stream from chapter 20. And I'm reading from the ESV, the English Standard Version of the Bible. Reason being is that it's a version that I do like, and it's in the English that we can all understand. I do, yes, read from the King James Version, and that's a version of the Bible that I actually read the whole Bible through. But I feel in order for everybody to understand what I'm saying, and for me not to trip up as often as I might do reading the King James Version to an audience, I thought it's best to read the ESV, and even though I might trip up, it won't be as regular as I would have done with the KJV. Right, so let's start on chapter 20. From there, Abraham journeyed towards the territory of the Negeb and lived between Kadesh and Shur. And he sojourned to Gerar, and Abraham said to Sarah, his wife, "She is my sister." And Amalek, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Amalek in a dream. Well, I'm just going to stop here. Well, this is the second time this has happened with Abraham as he was known then, and Sarah. So we are told that she was a very attractive woman. So obviously, wherever Abraham is sent, the leaders of the area that he is sent to, first of all, it was Egypt. Now it's the territory of Negeb, or Gerar. Whoever their rulers are, they want Sarah. So she must have been stunning. And at every point, especially in Egypt, and even here as well, Abraham has said, "She's my sister." The reason being because he understands these people, he knows them, and he knows that if he tells them that she is his wife, in order for them to have Sarah, they will kill him. So he knows to say, look, she's my sister, and not to say that she is my wife. And I did mention this when we spoke about Sarah. I did say that it's always good if you're moving to a place, even if it's in your own country, because different places might have different cultures, different ways of doing things, even if they're in the same nation. And so if you're moving, it's good to understand the rules and regulations, written and unwritten, of the people that you're meeting. Okay, it's just good to know where you are and how things work out. You can't go wrong there. You can only be in the right place. Because if Abraham didn't know the culture of these people, or the fact that, they might find my wife to be attractive, and they'll probably kill me for her. Okay, so that's just something that I wanted to bring up. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, "Behold, you are a dead man. Because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife." Now Abimelech had not approached her, so he said, "Lord, will you kill an innocent people? Did he not himself say to me, she is my sister? And she has herself said, he is my brother." My mistake. No, I didn't make a mistake. I thought I did make a mistake there. He had to tell her that he was his sister, yeah. And she herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and the innocence of my hands, I have done this. Then God said to him in a dream, "Yes, I know that you have done this in integrity of your heart, and it was I who kept you from sinning against me. Therefore I did not let you touch her. Now then, return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, so that he may pray for you, and you shall live. But if you do not return her, know that you shall surely die, and all who are yours." So Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and told them all these things. And the men were very much afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? And how have I sinned against you, that you have brought on me and my kingdom a great sin? You have done to me things that ought not to be done." And Abimelech said to Abraham, "What did you see that you did this thing?" Abraham said, "I did it because I thought, there is no fear of God at all in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she is indeed my sister, the daughter of my father, though not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God caused me to wander from my father's house, I said to her, this is a kindness you must do me. At every place to which we come, say of me, he is my brother." Then Abimelech took sheep and oxen, and male servants and female servants, and gave them to Abraham, and returned Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelech said, "Behold, my land is before you, dwell where it pleases you." To Sarah he said, "Behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. It is a sign of your innocence in the eyes of all who are with you, and before everyone you are vindicated." Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, and also healed his wife and female slaves, so that they bore children. For the Lord had closed all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Oh, I do apologize, I didn't move this up. Well, that was a very interesting chapter. I think just after I gave that brief commentary there, it sort of like came into what I had already said. And Amalek said he didn't know, but the Lord had already started to make Amalek pay for his behavior. So that's how much the Lord loved Abraham. 21. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did to Sarah as he had promised. And Sarah conceived and bore Abraham. And by the way, though, I'm just remembering the previous chapter, when I read it, Sarah was about 90 years old. And when the Lord told her you're going to have a child, she said, I can't have, well, she laughed and said, look, I'm no longer of the way of a woman. How can I have a child? I'm like, 90 years old. So despite the fact that Sarah was 90 years old, and by all intents and purposes considered herself to be an old woman, she was still attractive. So attractive that men still wanted her. Isn't that amazing? So she must have been absolutely stunning. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did to Sarah as he had promised. And Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the time of which God had spoken to him. Abraham called the name of his son, who was born to him, whom Sarah bore him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. And Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh over me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. But Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, laughing. So she said to Abraham, cast out this slave woman with her son, for the son of this slave woman shall not be heir with my son Isaac. And the thing was very displeasing to Abraham on account of his son. But God said to Abraham, be not displeased because of the boy, because of your slave woman. Whatever Sarah says to you, do as she tells you. For though Isaac shall your offspring be named, and I will make a nation of the son of the slave woman also, because he is your offspring. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder along with the child, and sent her away, and she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the child under one of the bushes. Then she went and sat down opposite him, a good way off, about the distance of a bow shot. For she said, let me not look on the death of the child. And as she sat opposite him, she lifted up her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the boy, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Fear not. For God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Up, lift up the boy and hold him fast with your hand, for I will make him into a great nation. Then God opened her eyes and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. And God was with the boy, and he grew up. He lived in the wilderness and became an expert with the bow. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. It's very interesting how Egypt always crops up in the Old Testament, especially, Genesis and obviously Exodus. And I would assume, well, not assume, but I think obviously the Israelites, the Hebrews, were slaves in Egypt for quite a few generations. We're going to come to that. And I would assume that they also adopted their culture. Okay, so it's like my feeling is that when the Lord took them out from Egypt and gave them his commandments and also gave them various rules and regulations that they should abide by, that was, I believe, to separate them from the Egyptian culture that they sort of like had become, either they had observed or that had infiltrated itself into their own community. Okay, because it's difficult for all intents and purposes, a minority population not to be influenced by the majority in various ways. Verse 22. There we go. At that time, Amalek and Pekor, the commander of his army, said to Abraham, God is with you in all that you do. Now therefore swear to me, here by God, that you will not deal falsely with me or with my descendants or with my posterity, but as I have dealt kindly with you. So you would deal with me and with the land where you have sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. When Abraham reproved Amalek about a well of water that Amalek's servants had seized, Amalek said, I do not know who has done this thing. You did not tell me, and I have not heard of it until today. So Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Amalek, and the two men made a covenant. Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock apart, and Amalek said to Abraham, what is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs that you have set apart? He said, these 7 ewe lambs you will take from my hand, that this may be a witness for me that I dug this well. Therefore that place was called Beersheba, because there both of them swore an oath. So they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Amalek and Pekor, the commander of his army, rose up and returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba and called there on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned many days in the land of the Philistines. Or some could say Philistines. I just want to welcome my viewer on Twitch, Welcome, viewer. It's really good to have you here. I'm really happy that you've joined us. And, I hope you're enjoying the stream so far. And then please feel free to interact, say something in chat. That would be great. If you've got any questions, please raise them with me. Or if you just want to say hi. This is for you. Chapter 22. After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and his son Isaac. As he cut the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him, on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw a place from afar, and saw the place from afar. Then Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey, that I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took from his hand the fire and the knife, so they went both of them together. And Isaac said to his father Abraham, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. He said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. So they went both of them together. When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram, caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called my computer just done something there. So Abraham called the name of that place, the Lord will provide, as it is said to this day, on the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. And the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you, and I will surely multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven and as the sand that is on the seashore. And your offspring shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in your offspring shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went to Beersheba, and Abraham lived at Beersheba. Now after these things it was told to Abraham, behold, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz his firstborn, Buz his brother, Kemuel the father of Aram, Chesed, Hazor, Pildash, Jidlap, and Bethuel. Bethuel fathered Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. Moreover, his concubine, whose name was Reumah, bore Tebah, Gaham, Tahash, and Makkah. Chapter 23. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died at Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went in to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham rose up from before his dead and said to the Hittites, I am a sojourner and foreigner among you. Give me property among you for a burying place, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. The Hittites answered Abraham, Hear us, my lord. You are a prince of God among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs. None of us will withhold from you his tomb to hinder you from burying your dead. Abraham rose and bowed to the Hittites, the people of the land, and he said to them, If you are willing that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat me for Ephron the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns. It is at the end of his field. For the full price let him give it to me in your presence as property for a burying place. Now Ephron was sitting among the Hittites, and Ephron the Hittites answered Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites, of all who went in at the gate of his city, No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the sight of the sons of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed down before the people of the land, and he said to Ephron, in the hearing of the people of the land, But if you will hear me, I give the price of the field. Accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there. Ephron answered Abraham, My lord, listen to me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver, what is that between you and me? Bury your dead. Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver, according to the weights current among the merchants. So the field of Ephron in Machpelah, which was in the east of Mamre, the field with the cave that was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, throughout its whole area, was made over to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the Hittites, before all who went in at the gate of his city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, east of Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. The field and the cave that is in it were made over to Abraham as property for a burying place by the Hittites. Well, that was for me a very nice read, very educational, quite self-explanatory. The one thing that I found interesting was Abraham didn't want that land for free, as Ephron was offering it to him. And I do like the words that Ephron used. What is silver between me and you? Take the land. But Abraham decided to, pay him for his land, which I think is a good gesture. I mean, the fact that somebody wants to offer you something for free doesn't mean you have to accept it, because at some point that could come to haunt you. And if the relationship breaks down, they say, well, look, didn't I give you that land for free where you now bury your people? Human nature, these things happen. So Abraham wasn't a poor man. He needed the land where he could bury his people out of his sight. Was offered a piece of land in the area that he sojourned in. He was amongst people that were not his people, and they offered him the land for free, but he decided to pay for it. And also we see their obedience. Abraham listened to the word of the Lord. The Lord told him to offer up his son, and he was going to do that from his heart. Then the Lord told him to stop. So we've gone through this before, that it's always good for us to hear the word of the Lord and obey. The word of the Lord is provided to us in the Bible. Okay, so it cannot be really misunderstood. It's subject to interpretation. And if you don't understand it, pray to the Lord for understanding. But, the world has been around for a long time. The word of the Lord, He created us in His image. So if the Lord says, do something, and you know that word is coming to you from God, do it. Okay, I think it's very important, because as I said in the last stream, there's many places here where with Adam, even with Abraham, when he went into Hagar, when he wasn't patient enough to wait for Sarah to get pregnant and have his baby, as the Lord told him that she would. Okay, because I think Ishmael was about 13 or 14 years older than Isaac. So it's always good to listen to the word of God and obey. Okay, so that's for me, that's the learning point here. And by being obedient, look at the reward that Abraham has been given to be the progenitor, basically, of God's chosen people. And we are also told here that the people will number just like the sand, in the millions and millions and millions. So that's what the Lord told Abraham. I'm not making it up. It's written here, and I just read it to you. So that's why I said it's always nice to come back to the foundation, to understand the intercourse that the Lord was telling His chosen, to the people that He chose to speak to and to bless. and to understand what those blessings are. Okay, so yeah, that was really, I found that really interesting, and I hope you did too. I should have done this whenever there's like whenever there's an important point before I started speaking. So I've done it after, which means what I've just said is important and something that we should do our best to focus on. Well, I'd like to thank you for joining me on this stream, and if you're watching the video later, I'd like to thank you for watching it. If you've got any comments you'd like to contact me, my details are available in the description, and I look forward to broadcasting tomorrow, which will be Thursday the 21st of January, to continue the series of Genesis. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.